All right. Just gotta check and make sure everything is doing what it's supposed to on my end. I haven't streamed in so long. All right. It looks like that worked. Hello. I'm just gonna get right to it. I have been working on some stuff. I've got notes. I'm not just freeballing this. So I've had this setting bouncing around in my head for a while. Oh, that's a little big. What about... Nah. You know what? We are. Fuck it, we ball. Hey yo, I'm gonna try and stick around, but the internet is spotty here. All good, man. I appreciate you jumping in and lurking and giving me a warm body while you're at work and everything. Just consider... Oops. Empire's origin. I want to work with some post-revolutionary purges. Centralization of power. Early Soviet unit. Stalinist purges. Kind of like NKVD. Oops. This might be a little slow and sloppy. I am using home brewery, so there's a bit of coding involved while I do this as well. I want there to be where's the ampersand? Yeah, murder is important to Origins, especially when when I'm looking at doing something in a grimdark type setting. And I don't think there's any better inspiration for grimdark other than other grimdark than using historic references. There is nothing crazier than real life. Like fiction can try, but yeah, no. Things tend to write themselves, honestly. Intellectual suppression. Totally get that. Yeah, I mean, like, I can't think of like better examples to use for to pull from for a grimdark like BBEG, because when it comes to grimdark, I don't think the BBEG should necessarily be like a person. I think it should be the setting itself, and even your heroes in the lore need to be shades of gray. I don't think there can be any actual good guys per se in an actual grimdark setting other than your party. And then even then, like, the things that they do need to be set up in a way where it's not like a, oh hey, we saved the day, we saved the country by doing it. It needs to be like on a small scale basis, like you brought hope back, rather than, oh yeah, we purged evil from the entire land. That being said, there's going to be a lot of inspiration, like Stalin, Mao, World War II in general. I'm thinking like hermitage country due to geographics, like North Korea. The unfortunate part is when you have that pure good, it's either probably something far worse or a walking death flag. Yeah, I mean, just look at Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman, the Dragonlance series. They had the Cataclysm when the gods of good prevailed and everything. The church gained more and more power and more control, and as they did that, they continued angering the gods because they went so far in one direction that it looped around being the other way, where they were just controlling everybody and suppressing everybody. So that's why I like grimdark settings so much. And I know there's a lot like grimdark settings can't necessarily be high fantasy, but I think the introduction of high fantasy into grimdark is what makes it even more tantalizing, because there are ninth level spellcasting wizards that can just do whatever, but they need to be suppressed, and I think that's that's kind of where I'm going with this blood purge and mage exile thing and everything. Minorities. I also want to throw in some sort of caste system. Indian Varna. Kind of like a codified. Woof. spell that right? Yeah, I think I spelled that. Secret police, and I did come up with a name when I was notating this out. When I think of secret police, I think of weasels and like secrets and everything, so came up with like Sable Inc. What category am I using? I'm using writing, I believe. Yeah, it just doesn't really feel like a just chatting thing, and we're not actually playing D&D. I'm just world building and doing some set dressing, basically. So I went with writing. And then if I'm doing things with a blood purge and secret police, there has to be an underground railroad type thing. So I went with the Ember Roads. Underground railroad, Balkan refugee corridors. Regions of Chiapas. And then, of course, write what you know. I spent a good amount of time in the desert. And that's easy enough to high fantasy up. We've seen it so much. And the big reason that we see it so much is because it's something that works. So if you're gonna do something, you should lean into what works. So I did come up with names already. This is going to be our well, Magic the Gathering just tried to update, but I'm not playing that right now. So I've got Tetharim. It's going to be the capital of the Empire post-war. And I want it to be carved into a mesa, kind of like Petra. Very Jordanian. Mareshkar. This is an old capital of another yeah, lol. Epic Games trying to force an update when I haven't even clicked on it. Oh, wonderful, right? These other two main cities are going to be, because I'm basically I've got this idea in my head, like 3 main races in this setting. One of them came on top in the war, and subjugated the other 2. Which I got the idea while playing Crusader Kings, not gonna lie. And rather than completely destroy what they've conquered, like we saw in areas in World War II, they've kind of just made it their own. Mareshkar is going to be a trade hub. Like Timbuktu. Caravan routes, some Mali inspiration. Hazed, Fortress Ruin. Built atop generations of ruins. Much like a bomb in Iran. You could just CK play out, and that's alt history novel right there. Yeah, especially if you're not doing like an Iron Man, and you can bounce around between all the different rulers and look at what's going on and what they've got planned and everything. And then one game isn't just like a single novel. That's a series at that point. I think that might be enough for the day. I think this might be all that I really get through. And I did come up with names for the 3 desert kingdoms already, so 3 rival desert kingdoms. Alt 01 F1, using M dash here. Yeah. Shaw, Marat, and Daz. Oops. Did I hit number lock? Oh, no. Okay. Just a generations long war. More control of the you know what, simple's best. Great arid basin. Victory came through at the use of blood magic by the Shaolin clan. You know what? I'm gonna go back and hit that with some asterisks. Capitalize that. Or bold that. Turned the tide. A forbidden ritual that scorched the Dazi heartland. And the way I've got like this going in my head, like the a shawl are kind of like elves in this setting. The Marat are going to be like a kind of a mixture between orcs and dragonborn, and then the Daws are going to be a bestial race. Kind of lycanthrope inspired, but without like a transformation. Word. They initiated the let's see, blood, fire, red. Crimson, accord, outlawing all magic not sanctioned by their bloodline. And I think that hits all three of the bullet points that I wanted. They're centralizing power and purging use of magic by anybody other than them. The blood purge. Oops. I only put one asterisk. There needs to be two to bold. Alright. As a systematic eradication of all magic wielders not born of the shaman bloodline. I mean, that should go without saying, but I think that's important to make sure it's in here. And then, of course, survivors went underground. Or fled the... Do I capitalize Empire here? No, because it's just Empire, it's not the name of the Empire. Any trace of unsanctioned I don't want to keep using magic over and over. Canna is considered heresy, punishable by death or re-education. Intellectual suppression, religious minorities, very reminiscent of NKVD and East German Stasi opposition. That's enough there for now. And here's where I want to differ a little bit. I don't want to just call it a caste system. Like when we look at caste systems in history, much like the Indian Varna, it's not called a caste. That's what it's called when it's studied. Like theirs is called Varna. So I don't know if I want to call it a cast or if I want to come up with a different name for it specifically. Thinking of separation, something thin, a short fancy word, kind of like lace. Unique name is a good idea. Yeah. And then this is also grimdark, so simple is best. I don't want it to be like some insane acronym or something like that. So how about veils? Society is divided into 5? Yeah, 5. Hereditary casts or veils, each bound by strict laws regarding profession. And yeah, I do keep looking down. I don't type without looking. It's never a skill that I picked up. And then, like I said, I am working off of notes and everything. And then I'm also looking over at chat, so excuse hiccups and scuff, especially since this is stream number 1. I think I'll get into a groove eventually, but not in the first stream. But laws regarding profession, residence, and even speech. Upward mobility. There's got to be some availability for upward mobility, otherwise you're looking at riots in the lower caste. So upward mobility is nearly impossible without state sanctioned adoption into the Shalon caste or military service in border zones. Fat fingered that. Codified racial segregation, Indian Varna. I think that works. Here's where I think this is gonna get really fun, because I feel like this is going to be the biggest opposition as I write for the party, is just dealing with the secret police or the Sable Inc. Since I have already named them. The Sable Inc. Maintains surveillance via enchanted parchments and Is it divinatory or divinitary? I think it's divinatory. Ink sigils. They record every. Oops, misspelt that. Scribes. Oh. Writings and can read the dreams of dissenters. I kind of like the idea that bring in like some kind of like Minority Report. They work preemptively by spying on people's dreams and stuff like that. Statues and murals. You know what? I think the secret police also need to be like the propaganda bureau, because I did bring up that I wanted to include Soviet propaganda apparatus in this. I think it needs to be in every city. Glorify the. Oops. The Shaolin Empire. You know what? I'm basing these on elves, and elves are a long-lived race. So rather than glorify the Empire, I think they should glorify the actual leader themselves. Do I want to go with an emperor or an empress? I feel like an emperor gets used a lot. So let's go ahead and go with empress. And display messages like desert carved into a mesa. Let's. I think I'm gonna do some stuff with phoenixes. Because the Marat, I kind of want them like a cross between Dragonborn and Orcs, so I feel like kind of an Aztec theme with them. So I can't do dragons twice. So I feel like phoenixes would be good here. Because I'm doing like a lycanthrope theme with the Daz, so I can't do hellhounds with the Ashal. One voice, one blood, one flame. I feel like that's super simple. How is my audio coming across? Am I too quiet? I feel like I'm getting quiet. I feel like I'm mumbling to myself instead of talking into the mic like I'm supposed to. Sounds good? Okay. So Ember Roads, obviously this is gonna be smugglers and refugee corridors. Oops, I just realized that I need to like scroll this down so you can see what I'm typing. Beneath the dunes lie ancient aqueducts and forgotten tomb cities. Because I already brought up that like the Yazid fortress is its ruins built on generations of ruins, so like forgotten cities underground as people just rebuild over them in the desert. And that sounds great, not just for like refugee quarters, but for like the lower sides of the cast when we get to filling that out some more. So I think tomb cities work here. Now reactivated by a loose coalition of... Okay, so who are our dregs? It's gonna be smugglers, exiled mages, and abolitionist rebels. And yeah, the writing is gonna be pretty rough. I'll go back and edit this eventually. It's probably not gonna it's probably not gonna be like anytime in like the next couple of months. Let it sit, summer, come back with fresh eyes as I develop more. That way it can be written out a little bit better. So that some things can be summarized down a little bit better, certain things can be expanded upon as necessary, so that this is coherent. But yeah, these Ember roads help slaves, banned texts, and fugitive. Let's see. I keep saying like mages. Sorcerers escape the grip of the Empire. Underground Railroad, Balkan refugee corridors, Chiapas, yeah. Okay. Oh, I capitalized Empire. Oopsies. Oops. Did not mean to do that semicolon. Empire's greatest cities are carved into cliffs, built atop old stone ziggurats, or grown around oasis markets. So I feel like that's going to, because like I've got Tetharim carved into a mesa. An idea for potential name for the cast, Hemak, or some variation of it. See how strong my Google foo is. Hemak. Spelling of Hemak. Science or sales expert. I feel like I'm missing a reference. Would you care to elaborate? I am going to write that down on a sticky note. I am always open to suggestions of cool historical references and things of that nature that I may overlook. Community involvement is always appreciated. Where was I? But yeah, I think this because I've got carved into cliffs. So I've got Tethereme carved into a mesa. Marashkar, is a trade hub, so it makes sense for that to be grown like around a Hema for blood, and Ak as being a Sumerian suffix for of or belonging to. Ooh. Ak. Belonging to. That will actually go great. Because I was thinking of because I got like this idea rattling around in my head of doing like some Zoroastrianism with the Ashalan clan. Now that I've like got rebirth, because I'm going with a phoenix motif instead of a dragon motif for the empire. So I was thinking Zoroastrianism, because of like sun worship and for like cycle of rebirth and things like that. So that Sumerian suffix really brings it together. Because I was probably just gonna go with something super simple like sand veil, because I decided to go with veils, and then sand because it's a desert. It's the Great Arid Basin. I like that idea. Thank you for that, Geki. Each city is governed by a. Let's see. Let's see. Fire, blaze. How about voice of flame? Alt 01 F1. I like my M dashes. And a voice of flame is just a noble born of the. Shaolin. Oh, excuse me. Bloodline. Trained in sanctioned magic and control. Then let's actually. Tethereme. Carve into a mesa. This is going to be capital. Marashkar. Oasis Crossroads. Here, caravan routes. Big fan of slapping together languages. Yeah, I love it, but honestly I'm not that great at it. I tend to stick with English or invective. Invective being the language of the military, consisting mainly of the 7 words you can't say on television. Yeah, hazard. Fortress ruin built atop ruins of holy site. And I think that's going to be like a main point for military, because that gives them religion, control of religion for religious minorities. They've taken away their old capital. Oh yeah. Oh. So I think Yahazad is going to be Tethrim was always a Shallan owned Marash car. So I'm thinking I'm gonna go with the Dazi with that, cause I envision them as being more nomadic, with having like a bestial canis, like they're the roamers. So having them center around an oasis and having crossroads and caravan routes, I think makes the most sense for them. Which, since I'm thinking like old stone ziggurats and ruined holy sites and things like that, gives Aztec vibes. So I think that is actually perfect for the Marathi. So here's where things are gonna get real fun, right? Because now I'm gonna go, and I wanna start with the caste system, since you got me thinking about it with that Hamak. But yeah, I think I am going to go with Sandvale hierarchy. Let's a soul must wear the veil it is born in, or earn in the, it's capitalized, son of ambition. And we're going to make that imperial proverb. Kind of a way to affirm the Ashallans and to dissuade anyone born in a lower caste from trying to ascend. Empire of Lyca divides its people into 5 distinct castes known as G-Veils. Veils. Determined at birth by ancestry. Oh, you know what? And branding. I've tried the branding thing with an idea in the past, and I think I want to bring it back, especially since everything is fire themed. With like having super intricate brands for like the higher houses, and as you get lower, they're very, very simple. That way they can be added upon if somebody does manage to ascend. Movement between veils is nearly impossible and punished if unsanctioned. Yeah, I think that works. The veils are codified in law, mythologized in state religion, and enforced through sorcery, surveillance, and systemic brutality. And then I think I want to continue with the veils. I want to go with the first veil. This is going to be like our trueborn Ashalans. I think we're gonna go with Ember Bloods. Oops. Ashalan is a proper noun. And I am gonna use your HEMAC idea. I kind of want it to be the one under this one, because I feel like the Ember Bloods, I feel like bringing in fire to it is going to make them seem ascendant, like next to their god, who I haven't.
This is a reminder. Property payment. This is a reminder. Property payment.
Okay, I will do that after stream, but I think I would like to use it for the second one, because I think my second one is going to be like military and bureaucratic. So I want them set up in a way that it's obvious that they will never ascend to the first veil. I think they're going to stay in the second veil, because they're at as high in society as they can get. They belong to the Ashalan, so I think with blood and belonging to HEMAC makes great. Yeah, I set reminders. I have a tendency to forget to do very important things when I'm in the middle of something else, especially like when I start getting in the zone with writing. I mean, you specifically know that I can, if I'm really sitting and churning and burning, I can knock out pages and pages and pages a day. Um, that being said, I have been going for an hour. I am going to take a quick 5 minute break, get up, stretch my legs, check on the dogs, use the latrine. Be right back. All right, I'm back. I'm back. Dogs are behaving. They're just taking a nap. This is their normal nap time anyway. They're loud and proud in the morning, and around 11:30 is when they start tuckering out and taking a nap. They'll be back to up and bouncing around 2. So that's probably when I'm going to cut stream. Give myself a few hours to get back into streaming, since it's been months since the last time I streamed. Let's see, how do I want to do this?